You know how it goes when we get together.
Hey, I'm willing to have a conversation with you.
Yeah, I have it set for an hour and a half, so we'll see.
Oh, shit. Are you kidding me?
On the first beer of Christmas, my brew love gave to me. Winter Ale, Summit Brewing Company, St. Paul, Minnesota. And look what else got put under my tree. It's Mark Stutrud. Woo! Mark, cheers.
Skull. I'm so glad I didn't spill foam on my keyboard. It got close. But, I'm going to wait. I got to wait for that. There's too much malt in this beer. It retains the head too long.
Yeah. I've actually spilt a few times doing these Zoom things because you forget, like, there's infrastructure behind the pouring or under the pouring zone. So Mark Stutrud, president, founder, Summit Brewing Company, former boss of Chip Walton, ongoing friend.
That was the toughest part, being your boss.
So essentially, for the first two beers of Christmas, I'm gifting myself a session with someone who I haven't seen since the beginning of all of this junk started. So Mark, it's really good to see you, brother. And we are drinking winter ale, which in my mind is it's kind of one of the telltale signs that winter has come to St. Paul, Minnesota. And I wanted to hear you. I wanted to gift myself a story or two from you about how this beer came to be, what it is, and kind of what it meant to people when it first came out.
Well, winter hasn't started yet, but this is something that will help us get through this stuff. Hopefully this year it'll be mild. I think we kind of deserve it with all the other stuff we've had to deal with. But anyway, historically, Summit Winter Ale debuted right before Christmas in 1986. And we called it a Christmas ale. It was only available on draft because we didn't start bottling until the fall of '87. And I think most of your audience knows that we started in the fall of '86. So everything that we produced was draft beer. And I loved Fritz Maytag. I had deep admiration for Anchor Brewing Company. They would always, change it up with a Christmas ale. They would use spices. Actually, I think Fritz was more Norwegian than I was because he'd put like spruce tips and all kinds of other stuff into the ale. But this was a beer and styled, a winter warmer, a British tradition, typically ruby, deep mahogany color, malt forward, and then some brewers would use spices, others wouldn't. We've never used a spice in any of our winter ales or even the original Christmas ale, although people claimed we did, but we would just always play with the blend of the hops with the deep malts that we'd use. But the damnedest thing was we released this Christmas ale and we decided to go out to the 20 accounts in the entire Twin Cities areas during Christmas shopping. Well, the brewers and I did while the wives were shopping. And we witnessed about 50% of the people that were drinking this beer falling off their bar stools because it was close to 8% ABV.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
You and your
it was strong.
You and your Maibach and
It,
your winter warmer, man.
it was above my Bach. It was absolutely nuts, and it was so round and smooth that people didn't realize how strong it was. Well, after we witnessed a couple of dudes, having difficulty motoring around, we thought, okay, one thing we're going to do next year is we're going to drop the alcohol level. And then secondly, we changed the name of the ale from Christmas ale to winter ale, because as of January 2nd, the sales totally stopped. And this was all draft. I mean, we would go back and talk to some customers. They say, oh no, I've got a keg of Christmas ale back there. We can't sell it. And it was like just January 5th.
Mhm.
So we kind of went back to the tradition of thinking, well, boy, aren't we stupid. We really must be a bunch of Norwegians, because here we enjoy some of the longest winters of anybody else in this country, and we call it a Christmas ale. So sales 101, right?
Yep.
But what a lovely, balanced, beautiful beer.
Right. What spice would people think that they were getting out of that combination of like yeast, malt, hop?
Clove was typical. And then when you've got some of the hops that have cherry notes, along with the British crystal malts that we would use, people would think, are you sure there's not cinnamon in there? And then what we would do, and this was before, before social media, this was all through word of mouth. We would kind of say, well, gosh, maybe we slip some in there, but I'm not quite sure. And we would keep people guessing just for the hell of it. But then we'd go back and tell them, no, never have spiced or used herbs or spruce or what have you.
So that makes this like the third beer in your portfolio? EPA porter this or this porter?
Extra Pale Ale was first in September of 1986.
Mm-hmm.
And people had no point of reference. That knocked their socks off. They had at 45 bittering units. It was like, oh, what is this? And it just a shock to people's system. And so the second beer we came out with was a porter 3 months later. And then we did the Christmas ale.
And has this changed other than the ABV coming down a little bit much as far as the malts and hops and the...
One of the things that we do is we always work with the body of the beer and how malt forward the beer is. There were a couple of years of where it was very herbal through the amount of hopping rates, that sort of thing. But in terms of color, it's always been on register. You look for that ruby character. You want to, have a touch of the herbal floral characteristics of the hops, but yet really finish off with that round, lightly roasted caramel, and that's a beauty of the crystal malts. And we focused exclusively on British crystal with this, along with the 2-row classic malt, the base malt. And along with that, we use an ale strain that's not too spicy. So that's 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 our ballpark for a winter ale.
So it's been around for a while. Do you got any kind of favorite memories of maybe launch parties or like really good promos that someone put together? Like winter ale promos, if I remember correctly, are usually pretty fun because it's like early enough in winter that it's not a pain in the ass yet. Winter, that is.
Well, there is a time in Palmer's Bar way back when where we had a promo with winter ale and the Turf Club, and I'm getting flooded with euphoric recall here, but it's I know that's an old term, a classical term, but this continues to be our biggest seasonal seller. It has never loosened the reins.
Really?
I mean, there are some times where I think, geez, people will just think, oh, it's just a winter ale and that sort of thing. But there's quite a bit of anticipation from year to year.
You would have thought I would have known that after working there for 3 years. I would have thought that Oktoberfest was our strongest the Royal R strongest seasonal, but it's such a small window, right? It's really about the state fair, honestly.
Yeah, well, the Oktoberfest is a narrower time frame. You have to think about that. And but Oktoberfest is number 2, and it's creeping up on the winter ale. And you would think that maybe a summer ale might have some legs, but that's people. We all think that summer is too short. So what the hell?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the benefit of Minnesota winters, is there's plenty of time to drink a really beautiful, malty, sturdy beer like this. It's English, obviously, but to me, it often can kind of feel a little Germanic in its rich.
In what way?
I think in the richness of the malt, in the breadiness, it doesn't quite go into a Munich-y kind of area, but I don't feel like it's too far away from almost that I call it tart, but it's not tart. It's almost like dry leaf kind of character that I get a lot of time out of like Munich. But it's very English. It's very, like you said, herbal and earthy. The roasted crystal.
Yep.
ERC.
Yep. Yeah, you don't get a boatload of grapefruit out of this. No.
It's juicy.
I don't think you expect that.
Man, when you can make that juicy winter warmer, boy.
Then we'll get the ABV up there, you bet.
The hazy shade of winter. I'm sure that beer exists somewhere, actually.
Woo! I think I'll trademark that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you feel it. So it's down to 6.2. It's not 8% anymore. A little more approachable, but
yeah,
also easy to have through.
Well, and one of our signatures, as you know, is we always go for that balance. To have that beautiful dance between all the ingredients and flavors of beers, so that one doesn't dominate all the others. And so even the choice of yeast is important, because we're not using an aggressive IPA yeast with this one. This is slightly on the fruity side, but not spicy. So
just like you, brother.
Oh yeah, I know. I've never been spicy. I've been a little fruity.
All right, well, we're going to get into the second beer at Christmas, but not in this video. That's coming up. You're going to hear about Great Northern Porter and what it has to do with this beautiful photograph on my wall. So, cheers, Mark, to the first beer of Christmas. I'll see you in a couple of minutes. The rest of you, we'll see you tomorrow. Happy holidays. Cut.